Oh,
Okay.
oh shit.
We are all
I'm
rooting
really
for him.
getting beaten up right now. Oh yeah, so we're gonna talk about navigation now.
Let's talk about navigation, guys. We hinted it last time. These are the new stuff that are coming to the servers.
So we've looked into the ways we can improve the feedback that you have, the in-game map essentially, and also give you new tools to orient yourself in the world. So yeah, we've got the new item, GPS receiver, that you can power by the normal 9-volt battery you are used to. You take it into your hands and look at it.
So
You can switch it off, switch it on.
Nice. So it shows your coordinates.
Yes. So it shows you the altitude that you are in.
Okay.
Coughing. I'm so sorry about that. I should have taken the pills.
Yeah.
And I've you can also see the grid coordinates essentially in here.
Nice.
So I can show the improvements on the map right now. So I forgot to put the compass into my inventory somewhere. But if I would have a compass in my inventory, you would actually see working compass in this corner.
So basically the items you have in your inventory are automatically added to the view, to the UI when you are using the map.
Exactly. So you can actually see the helpers.
Okay. So, and do you need to use navigation of the grids, or can you see like a dot where you are standing?
Not by default. You don't see the dot. But this is again configured on server side, meaning that if you want on your server, you can show the player position. You can actually just, ignore the items. If people don't know any of these items, it will still show the place where they are, so it's pretty configurable. And yeah, if you own an item, so I can show it in here right now. So I have a GPS that is actually working in my inventory. It, by the way, it fits the radio slot.
Very nice.
It can be really cool, working, carrying this old school GPS. And I will drop it on the ground. And if I open the map right now, see, it doesn't show the info. Okay. So I put the GPS in my inventory and I can see the info. And obviously if I would have the compass in my inventory, I would see the compass also, the direction that I'm facing.
Maybe we will find it on our way. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. You will have to remind me now. I won't forget.
Sure.
So here you can basically see the grid sector and you can actually find the grid where you are. So this is 114, so like this here, see, and 79. So I'm here. This is my summer cabin.
Nice.
So yeah, that is the improvements to the map.
Yeah. So so Minder was asking whether you need the map and the GPS. So you find the map, it works normally as it always was, right? But if you also have a working GPS tracker, it will appear directly in the UI. And if you find a compass, it will also show there, so you can use all of this stuff together. It's sort of, we know, it's no secret that a lot of players actually use third-party maps, which is fine if you prefer it that way. But for people who like more immersive experience, this is gonna give you some navigation idea.
Yeah, basically, if you find the GPS alone, I mean, you kind of need to know where the grid cells are because this GPS just shows you the coordinates. It's not nothing advanced. It doesn't actually show you the map.
Yeah.
So you will have to still carry the map to know where these grid numbers are, or you just need to know the map. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a nice small addition.
Nice hunter. There have been some major changes in the vehicle simulation in 1.19. Worked on by our Infusion team.
Okay.
And considering the scope of the changes, when you actually get into the vehicle, it's gonna feel different too, so don't be surprised about it, that the change is big one. We actually enjoy driving on the new simulation much more than the old one. The driving has been made much more fun.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. But obviously the primary focus was to resolve the stability issues with the simulation.
Yeah, sure.
That's...
So let's take a look at the look at the car.
Well, yeah, so we've got bunch of new features introduced with the cars in 119. Like, I'm gonna hide in the car because I don't want to get rained on.
Okay.
So one of the things is the automatic transmission because of certain new vehicle. We've also, but obviously it will be usable for any even modded vehicles and so on.
Okay.
We've also got the car horn. I'm not gonna show it right now.
Okay. But is it in this build?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. So we will see once.
And we've also got the handbrake. So
okay.
If you dare, you can try to slide in the corners.
I wouldn't try it. Okay, let's start it.
So I'm just gonna close my trunk. I've got some tools to fix my vehicle.
What was in there? It's something new, wasn't it?
Like, was it?
Just seemed like.
I have tools to fix my vehicle. Alright.
Yeah, so with the one new vehicle that we are adding in, it will have the automatic transmission. And with the other on the servers, if you prefer it, let's say if you are from regions that are not very familiar with manual transmissions, people can, on their servers launch it as well.
I'm just gonna be super careful though, guys, right? Just as I am usually when I'm driving the car in DayZ. It's like putting car together in DayZ is a task, right? Probably.
And I'm sorry, but it's not just about me. People are demanding the honk. Actually, when we were testing first the horn, we added like random animal noises into it. So
the real reason I don't want to honk is that the horn is still work in progress.
Okay, that's fair. But it's not an issue.
I mean, I can honk, you will hear it, but
there's no animation right now?
It's kind of underwhelming.
It's underwhelming. Okay, so it's the sound level?
Yes.
Okay, so it's very quiet. But the animation is there?
Yes.
So, guys, do you want to honk quietly?
They will, of course, want to honk, right?
People are demanding something underwhelming to balance out all this excitement. That's great. Honk again. Okay, so it will be tweaked.
Still work in progress, okay.
But yeah, I mean the honk is real.
Yes. The honk is there, okay?
Yeah. It should be a hashtag, like. Yeah.
So one of the things that we've also did with the vehicles, and you may notice it now, is that we've improved the vehicle HUD. It gives you better feedback about the state of the engine, the damage of the engine, but also about the other parts like the radiator and the parking brake and so on. So yeah, that's also, you may have already noticed it. There is also a visualization that actually tells you that your wheels are locked in some cases when you are driving.
Okay.
So that's useful to know. If you're braking too much, you lose the control of the vehicle, and you will actually see it. So yeah, like we looked into that too, together with the vehicle.
People want you to honk. Guys, enough with the honking. Tomorrow we can go and you can honk all day long if you...
So one of the things I can also mention with vehicles is like you're probably used to the extra press on the sprint on the shift key to get even more power. What we did also, we did the same thing on the brake. So if you use these modifiers, the control and the shift, you can also modify the strength of the brake essentially.
Okay.
So that is a change. So you actually have the brake modifiers, so you can brake slowly if you need to.
Nice.
So yeah. Be careful when you brake on the new simulation. That's all I can say. Actually. So, like we teased in the beginning, we want to bring more dynamic elements to the map. And one of those dynamic elements are military convoys / some like military park. Like sometimes you will find military vehicles parked around and so on. So this is one of the examples. So it will offer some nice loot. I can actually see a 40mm grenade over there
Nice.
for the M79. So that's pretty sweet actually.
About the other loot?
Some helmet here.
And this is this like a normally guarded area, or it spawns?
Yes, there should be infected around. I'm not entirely sure where they are right now. I may know why they are not here.
Okay.
So the thing is that this is a dynamic element.
Oh,
So,
right.
So it has to, it's like it moves around the map. So it's not always here. It only sometimes it's here. So it's worthwhile, looking around, making sure that you watch the surroundings, and then you can find an AK Mac in here, for example. And I may have forgotten to override the lifetime of the infected area here.
Oh, okay.
So the infected may be long gone, actually.
So you can actually see how badly we are at like doing this stuff that's like not actually live in the game, because normally we are used to just playing the game normally with no streamer loot.
So hey, this is at least a convoy, even without the infected.
Yeah, but normally there would be a bunch of military grade infected, right?
The convoy would normally have infected around, but I don't see any. I mean, I can do this.
But it's like another point of interest that you can visit randomly when you come across it, and it can offer some really good loot. I guess compared to like the other dynamic events, like we have the police crashes, right? Then we have the heli crashes and the trains now.
Yeah, you will mostly find like all around military loot in here. Like nothing high tier in here. But
so no grenade launcher, or also? Because we saw the ammunition. So just the ammunition.
Yeah. Well, the ammunition is spawns around the whole map, I believe. So we just be lucky. Oh no, I'll take it.
Is this Livonia exclusive, or are the convoys also?
No, they are also generous.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was the military convoy. There is like 30 positions on each map, I believe, something along those lines. So that's new dynamic element together with the trains and together with one more police-oriented dynamic event that we may see.
Okay.
We may have already seen actually.
Okay, so let's see. Sounds exciting.
I just didn't point out, but we've already drove next to one police situation. We call it police situation.
Okay, and how is it different? Because some people might not know this, but there's actually like Volha police crashes. Like for a long time now, the dynamically spawned like crashed police cars. And these police situations, how are they different compared to?
Yeah, so we always felt that the lonely police wrecks are kinda boring. Like you see like a police car, nothing around. So we felt like we could do something better. So we decided to replace these events with new object compositions essentially, and these areas will, for example, show a car crash, a car crash into another one. There was a police car next to it, or there is a police roadblock.
Okay.
Or there is a prison transport.
So even a police roadblock, something that can like catch you off guard if you are speeding.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So you have to be careful. That's one of the dynamic elements of the map. So the map isn't always the same. You have to always be careful whenever time you're driving or even walking. So you may actually miss some good loot in these places.
That's cool.
I'm actually driving through the line.
So even if you are very familiar with the game, it's still worth to keep an eye out, on the surroundings to not miss these dynamic events.
So here we are.
This is the situation.
This is actually one of the police situations. Doors.
And go into third person.
And here you can see, actually, so there is a situation. Something happened here. This guy was probably trying to avoid this M3S driving on the road because it was driving in the middle, and they just happen to crash into this. I'm drinking badly damaged frontal lemonade.
Okay.
I think it's about time we talk about the other part, other big change that we've done, this time on the central economy side. It's like when you play the game for the past few years, you may have noticed that you kept finding a lot of things in pristine shape, right?
Okay.
There were usually some jackets, damaged, weapons, some of the weapons damaged, but things like shoes, gloves, and so on, they were always spawning pristine. And we looked into this problem, and quite a big, magnifying glass or whatever how to describe it, and actually implemented like global damaging and went through all the items that are in the game.
Okay.
And defined the randomized damage on the spawn. So you will actually in 119 find much more, worn out damage stuff than before.
Okay.
Now, we did it because we think that, it's more authentic. It supports like the survival feel of the game when you actually not find everything in pristine shape. I'm not saying that it's not gonna happen. It will still happen. You will still find from time to time a pristine stuff, but perhaps you will value it more.
Yeah.
So that's the general idea. So I found a badly damaged frontal lemonade. You may lose it faster if it's in your inventory. You get hit by infected and so on.
So you can be cruising through Cherno in this like pristine sneakers, with some, tracksuit jacket. It's gonna be nice. A lot of prestige to it.
119, one of the big things in 119 that you will probably notice when you go into the game, when you jump into the game, is the changes that we done to the player character controller. So there's number of changes. Primary goal of those is bug fixing. You will not really notice some of those bug fixes because they are aimed at the glitches like, the terrain glitch, the wall glitch, and so on. But there are other bug fixes and tweaks, like, for example, the forward fall. So when you are, like, running off the ledge, you were usually, like, kicked off pretty far in front. We lowered that quite a bit, so you will actually have to jump around.
Okay, nice. And how about the underground swimming? Like the exploit people use to get into your base?
That's covered by the terrain glitching, essentially.
Nice. Okay, so you shouldn't be able to witness this in the 119 anymore.
So one of the other things that we changed on the player character is the way, how you run fast uphill and downhill, because there was an issue that you could actually run much faster uphill or downhill. We've changed that. Now it's the same. It doesn't really solve the issue that you should probably be running slower. We haven't really looked into that, but we fixed a bug where you were really like teleported uphill or downhill. One of the other things now, it's how convenient to have water here.
Very convenient.
So one of the things that we've also changed with the water is that we are restricting your movement in the water. So when you actually get into a deeper water, you will be forced to wall, or you can use up your stamina and jog around, essentially, in the deeper water, but you will use your stamina.
Okay. So it gives you more options, because how it was prior.
How it was prior, until you reach the swimming level, you were sprinting.
Okay.
So, like, that includes, like, even water like this, which are like, that doesn't really look good.
Okay.
So, we restrict you in the water right now. So that's a small change, but, in some places quite big one. And the last thing, and probably I kept it as the last. The last thing and probably most noticeable is that we've added inertia into this character, primarily aimed at changing the way the sprint works. So we felt that when you sprint with your character, it feels very light, still, and you are still very much in the control of whatever you do, when it comes to the turns and so on. So I'm gonna show it to you on the stream, but it's much better if you just, actually
feel it.
run it tomorrow and try it yourself, because it's hard to showcase something like that. But so what we did is like there is actually a time, the time to sprint and to stop is longer than it was before, and the turns, both the turns through the keys, but also through the camera, when you rotate the camera, are slower when you are in the sprint compared to the other speeds of the character. So I can
So it can affect like zigzagging, for example, which is like very popular defensive maneuver.
So I can show it to you. Like this is basically a jogging, and I'm changing to sprint right now.
So it's more fluent, and it doesn't make...
And when I try to like, you can actually... it is like visible. If you play DayZ a lot, you will notice that there is something...
Yeah. It's also something that we are covering because we know it will get some time to use to if you have thousands of hours in DayZ, as many do. I know that every change to something like this is a bit like uncomfortable. Yeah, but we believe that it really will work better in the end if we all get used to it.
We thought that like the sprint is like this evasion maneuver that you use, and well, you should, it's fast. It's very fast, and you should have more limited movement essentially during that. So we did that. It's for the strafing, and it's also for the camera movement, and we did not really change the other movement speed much. And obviously we know that changing these things in a live game that is, several years out, that's, difficult. There's many communities with different playstyles and so on. And all of these parameters for the inertia and so on will be tweakable within the server side configuration. So if somebody really just likes the old way it was, the fluent sprint, whatever, they can still set it.
So even on consoles, people can tweak these things. So again, it will be on the experimental. We will listen to your feedback. And, in the end, if it stays this way, but you preferred it the other way, there's still probably some communities that will run servers with the alt option. So everyone can change what they like.
So yeah, that is a very big change. And I'm looking forward to see what you guys think about it.
Yeah.
It's time for another showcase. That smoke grenade was very convenient.
Very convenient. It's almost like Adam had planted it before, so he can show you some new feature that's coming in 119.
So we know that this has been a trouble for grenades, in particular in PvP situations. A grenade thrown through a window, you cannot hear it, you see only the explosion and then the URL screen.
Yeah.
So we try to give you a little more heads up with adding the thrown item collision sounds. So I'm gonna try to showcase it right now.
Wow.
There you go.
The future
is now. You can actually not hear it. Okay, but
no, I heard it from your speakerphones. It's that loud.
Yeah.
So hey guys, it's still a bit goofy, and it's still many cases the grenade is gonna kill you and not the other person, as we all know in DayZ. It can get very messy, but hey, right now we will have at least some chance to play around it.
The sounds are played on all the items. It's just not for the grenades, but I showed it on the grenades because obviously that's the area that we had the biggest focus on, because we know that it's important in the interactions between players. And the smoky grenade, it's like the frag grenades are the most important ones, obviously. But I thought that like let's try it with the smoke grenade. Yeah, I think this is gonna aggro her.
I'm trying to be super stealth.
Yes, I am.
Damn.
Yeah. That looks that looks like a new stealth kill animation. Charcoal tabs. So what we did with the stealth kills, we've actually implemented an additional variant, which is like a sort of like a next up, and we've also added the aligning of the player. So when you execute the stealth kill, your character is aligned. So and that animation of the infect is synced up with the animation now. Previously, it was like you stopped the infected, and then then the infected realize that they should die.
Yeah, it was a bit goofy looking previously, but maybe some people don't know how to do the stealth attacks. So can you like give them tips?
Yeah, so I can explain it. It's pretty simple. You just have to be careful and approach the infected from behind with some sharp item.
Okay.
You know, a knife usually. You cannot do it with the axe actually, I think.
Okay, so more with the one-handed ones, right?
Yeah. Come on. So I'm not trying to kill the guy right now. I'm trying to fight, but I'm trying to get a bleeding source. Okay. Oh.
Okay.
Oh shit.
We are all rooting
really
for you.
getting beaten up right now. Yeah, so the reason why we were trying to fight the infected, try to lure them at us, was the fact that what we are introducing with 119 is a brand new bleeding indication on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So the indicator for the low blood was so far through the saturation of the screen.
Uh-huh.
And we thought that, you know, perhaps we could do something more so you know earlier that you're actually bleeding. And we figure out these on-screen bleeding indicators, you know, and you can actually use them to count the bleeding sources and also to know what kind of bleeding sources are they, you know, are they like the cuts on your feet or are they actually heavy bleedings? They actually change based on that in the scale and the frequency and so on.
So it's worth noting that there are different type of bleeds. It's not like I got 3 bleeds and it's gonna be completely the same the another time I got 3 bleeds. There are different grades of them. Okay. And these by the size and the position can tell you which they are.
Yeah.
So if he got 3 bleeds right now, which somehow he didn't, I also don't know. I don't think this was planned, but
no.
but somehow he didn't get the bleeds, so he was very lucky. He would get like 3 individual, you know, the blood drops, I guess, on the screen, which would help him track the amount of bleeding that he has. So, and since it's also something quite new, like a big step, let's say, in that regard. It's, I believe, also something that people can manage on client or server settings.
Client actually. There is. If you don't like the indication, you can use this new switch, brand new switch that will switch them off.
Okay, so if you are old schooler, you like the DayZ how it is, you're gonna play on servers with the old inertia, and you can also turn this off. It's up to you. But we believe, again, once people get used to it, it can be very nice to help you. Also for people that like to play without the UI that you can see in bottom right, some people like to turn it off for more immersion. And then it might be trickier for them to actually see when they are bleeding. So this will be still on, you know, and it's one of the reasons.
Well, we have a new sign here.
Uwaga. It's in Polish.
So we are entering the new area, the quarries.
Nice.
So there is a big quarry area north of Nadbur, and this is one of the quarries. There is also another one.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna be showing the other one. That's up to you guys to explore, but we will tease you the first one.
For uwaga.
So uwaga for.
So what will be spawning here? Like, will people have a reason to visit these quarries?
Plastic, explosive, and industrial stuff, and like the remote detonators. So definitely place things like this. There is also something that sadly, since it's raining, it's not that much visible, but you guys could have seen it in the earlier pictures that we shared.
Yeah.
And that's, we've introduced a water reflection essentially, so you can see the environment reflecting in the water.
Okay, so it's more immersive.
This will also be configurable in the video settings. So if you don't like it, you can switch it. You can set it to higher settings. So it will be.
It looks nice, yeah.
And
especially in a sunny weather, like you should realize. So maybe you can go lower, you know. Take a look.
Yeah. So we got these new dump trucks. for the quarry, and also this big excavator.
Yeah, which doesn't look like it's made for what.
I can see something.
What's that?
Where is it? Oh,
Isn't it?
oh, that doesn't
my-
look great at all. Oh.
Okay.
And like, oh shit, not at all.
Okay. So maybe some new bleed effects.
I may get more bleeding sources than I would like to.
You should take some cover, man. You shouldn't be in the open field.
Oh no, my gun is so good.
I know. This is not the PvP.